Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are at our Scrum for Beginner series, second episode. Today we are going to discuss about SDLC and methodology. You may have a question. Selvi, we are actually in the series Scrum for Beginners. Why SDLC? Why methodology? This is a very foundational topic for all the methodologies, and also it is very important to know why Agile. So before getting into that, for people who are already aware of software and you are working with the different methodologies for longer time, this may be a refresher episode. And for people who are new to software, this is definitely going to be a beneficial stuff. For before getting into any of the details, let me go through the agenda for the day. So we will start with what is software, what are the phases in the software development life cycle, then getting into methodology, then different methodologies. This is all about the agenda that we have. Let's start with what is software. So software is a set of instructions that tells a computer or device how to perform specific task. Your device may be a mobile or computer, any device. So software is going to provide set of instructions that is going to tell the device to perform certain set of actions or tasks. Okay, let's make that simple. One of the example is the simple calculator. You can see the calculator in your mobile. You can see the calculator in your laptop. What exactly it does? For example, I want to actually add two numbers. I'm providing 5, then I'm giving the operator plus, and then I'm giving the second number, which is 2. Then automatically I'm getting the result 7. How is it actually happening? So based on the instructions that have been written as part of the software, it's actually analyzing there are two inputs coming in, and Selvi is actually using the operator plus, which means she wants the operation of addition to be performed for these two input values. And based on the instructions, actually it is providing the actual output, that is 7. That's what is happening in the calculator. It's not bringing something related to subtraction, multiplication, division. So based on what exactly it should do, that specific task alone it is performing based on the instructions. This is a very simple example. Let's get into one more example, which is the banking website. Most of you would have used this banking application in your mobile phone or maybe as a website. What exactly it does? I just use my credentials and log in into the application. So it first validates whether Selvi is only logging or not by comparing my username and password. If it's successful, actually it's going to take me to the home page, which is the landing page. There I'm able to see my account balance, latest transactions, and I'm able to see much more functionalities in the application. Like I can create my own uh, uh, recurring deposit. I can make some transactions to my other accounts. I can change my password. I can see the details of my bank. Everything is visible. So this is also a software, but it has a lot of functionalities. When it is a simple calculator, I'm not talking about the scientific calculator, the basic calculator that has certain functionality. So it has set of programs, set of instructions, which is going to be executed to perform certain specific tasks. Similarly, the banking website also has lot of functionalities. The core here is these functionalities are uh, either going to be used in the mobile phone or in your laptop based on the device that you are selecting, but it has a lot of opportunities when compared to the calculator. But these two are softwares. Okay, so now we know what is a software. So how exactly the software is getting created and how it is delivered to a customer? That's a curious question, right? So if I ask, hey, like I just need a calculator, will someone create a calculator and give it to me tomorrow? That's not going to happen because it has certain phases that it should cross through. Then only from the requirement phase, it should reach the place where it can be deployed or delivered to the customer. What are those phases? how to learn about the spaces. So we now know what is a software, and now how to create the software, what from where we need to start and where we need to get into so that we can hand it over to the customer in the form of a deployment or maybe as a deliverable. So for that, we are going to get into something called as SDLC, which is Software Development Lifecycle. So we now know we are going to create a software. That means we are going to develop a software. That means it includes a lifecycle, right? So what exactly this lifecycle is going to have? This lifecycle is a step-by-step process to design, develop, maintain software so that it meets actually the business need, what it should actually provide. Wow. So is these phases going to be generic? Yes. Any software you take for creating a software till the phase of starting and till the phase of deployment, you are going to use all these phases. This is a step-by-step process. All right. So what are the phases? Planning, requirement analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance. We have good number of phases. So now we will be going through each and every phase. But before that, I'm going to give a very simple example that I will be using almost in many places so that you can correlate very well. Imagine you want to construct a house. All right. So if you want to construct a house, will you say today, hey, no, I just want a house. This is the piece of land. Please construct the house. And tomorrow house will be there? No. Or if you are asking your engineer, hey, no, I want to construct a house. This is what I need. Please construct. Means will he or she immediately procure the raw materials and start the construction? No. It actually goes through different phases, right? You sit and discuss, like you tell first of all what is your plan, what is your budget, what is the time frame that you are planning to get your house. Uh, so all those things, and what is your boundary, like what are the basic requirements you want, and what are the things that you can look for, but beyond that you don't want to go because you don't have the budget. So you are restricting your boundary. At the same time, you are trying to share all your requirements to the engineer and getting into that kind of discussion, like what exactly is feasible, what is not feasible, what can be achievable in this time frame, what cannot be achievable in this time frame, uh, what sort of raw materials we want to use. Everything you are discussing as part of the requirements. You are just discussing everything. After this, will engineer go and procure the raw materials and start the construction? No, because this is just the requirements phase. He or she cannot start immediately. Now, okay, after understanding all the customer requirements, engineer is going to make a diagram, which is going to be a blueprint of your house. And now you are going to analyze and you are going to have a lot of discussions about the design. And first level, you are able to understand the overall picture. Now you are good with that after a lot of discussions and versions going on. Then next you are getting into the very minute details of the house, where I need what and what are the things I just need within my house. All those things. Very modular level information that also you have got with the design level. The next one, now when the design is frozen, like, okay, now the engineer knows, okay, Selvi is very happy about all the designs, whatever I have shared, and she's good to proceed to the next step. That is when actually we will get into the development. That time they will start constructing the house. Things will be going on, so they will be ensuring that things are taken care well. They will be doing some kind of sanity checks in the places where they have installed some doors, windows, and all those things, so that quality wise everything seems good and there is no damage or there is no fault, and it's not going to create any kind of issues tomorrow. So that is a kind of sanity check they perform, which is part of like a testing. And finally, once all these things are done, they will be handing over the key to you, who is the owner of the house. And after that, after getting the house, you are not going to stop there, because you need to maintain your house. You need to paint the walls at the right intervals. You need to ensure the doors are working well. You need to ensure the water supply and the electrical wirings are well maintained, whether you need to make some changes, or you want to introduce some new stuff in your room. Maybe you want to construct a bookshelf in your room. That's something you are requesting. So you're kind of like maintaining. Maybe what is existing also you can maintain, or you can also request for some new things. This is how the whole house construction process looks like. Anything will go anywhere, like, okay, before even installing the doors, I'll start testing something. What you will test? Before even having the design, I'll start the development. What you will develop, based on what you will develop. And without even any requirements, I'll start the design. No, based on what you will come up with the blueprint. So for every phase, there is an entry and exit criteria. Wow, what is entry and exit criteria? Exit criteria is something when you are done with something, right? When you are done with something. For example, let's say that requirements phase. You are analyzing all the requirements and everything. And when you are able to prepare that whole requirement document, that is when you can say, yes, I'm done with this phase. That is the exit criteria. Preparation of the document shows that you are completing this phase without any open items and you are good to move to the next phase. So this is the exit criteria. Similarly, entry criteria is something when you have some document or when you have some artifact that is available which will trigger or which will allow you to get into a phase. For example, you need to move to a design phase. What is required for a design phase? The frozen requirement document is very important, because without that you cannot plan the design phase. So that's very important. So this is how actually entry and exit criteria works. Entry criteria, certain things are available so that you can start something. Exit criteria is certain things should be available so that you can call it is done. Right? Now, we have seen this house related example. Now you can at least correlate like what are the phases that we have in the software. Okay. Now, let me get into the detail uh, with some more examples. So, software development lifecycle, we have clubbed two of the phases together so that we can cover easily. So the planning and requirements phase. So the planning phase, actually we will define the project scope, objectives, and set the boundary for the project. That is the place where we set the boundary. What is the scope of this project? For example, if you are planning to construct a house, you will not plan for something like building a commercial, constructing a commercial building. Why so? Because your scope is to construct a house, not a commercial building. So, what is your aim? What is your scope of the project? That is very much clear in the plan. In the planning phase, business owners and stakeholders explain why this project or why this software, what are we trying to do, and what is our boundary, what is our objective, and what are the things we are trying to solve. Everything gets discussed as part of the planning. All good. So we are moving to the requirements. In the requirements phase, we collect the requirements from all the stakeholders. When collecting the requirements, we also get into the phase called analysis of the requirement. So when we say analysis, what we try to do, we understand the requirements, we clarify the questions, we clarify the requirements wherever we have gaps, wherever we have uncertainties, we try to understand and refine the requirements much better. We also try to identify if duplicate requirements are there, because it may create some confusion in the future. So we try to make this list as unique as possible. And the next one is if we have something where we are missing information in the requirements, like the requirement is like a kind of like an incomplete state, then try to gather more information. So if you have questions, get clarity. If you feel there is a duplicate, avoid that. And if there is something which is missing, you should clarify then and there and complete the requirement so that it will be easy for us to understand. So after getting this, you will be creating the overall roadmap for the development. What timeline, what are we planning to do, when we will be able to complete the overall software, when what are the what is the team looks like. It is basically feature plus timeline. Feature plus timeline. It's like when we will be delivering what. or when we will be reaching what milestone. We will talk about milestone and other things as well in future, but I'm just going to give a quick glimpse about what is a milestone or what is a timeline. So say for example, when we will be completing the design phase, that's a milestone, closure of the design. What is the timeline? When it is going to happen? Similarly, based on the different methodology, I'm using different terminology, but as of now, stay with me to understand what is a milestone and what is a timeline. So every phase you consider as a closure of a milestone. So closure of design, closure of development, closure of testing, these all are different milestones. When it is going to happen, that you can see in the project roadmap. So now this roadmap can be given to any stakeholders to understand the overall view of when what is going to come, when which phase we are going to complete. Sounds good. What is design and development? Wow, this is a huge topic. When we say design, design is going to be categorized as part of two pieces. One is the high level design and another one is the low level design. HLD, LLD. So the first one is in HLD, as the name suggests, it's a high level design, the architectural view, the holistic view of your software. You can view it here. Why I can have only this, right? Why low level design is required? Let's take again the house construction. So in your house, you have the overall picture, the overall blueprint of your house, right? That gives you the complete picture of how the house is going to look like, and where exactly the boundaries and all those things you are able to understand. Why you need a detailed plan where which room, where is the living room, what are the dimensions of the room, in this room where is the cupboard going to be, all these things why you need to understand, because that gives much more clarity at the modular level. Same way, high level design is going to talk about the architectural design, and it is also going to talk about something like, in softwares you can see some softwares are standalone, like we discussed about calculator. We are not going to have this calculator integrated with other softwares. Whereas if you take a banking website, you may be using this banking website. From the banking website, you may open some other website. For example, you have some reward points available in your bank account. You want to redeem those values, redeem those points, and purchase something. Then automatically the website will take you to a different website where you have the options to purchase the available products. So this is already integrated. So your software is integrated with another software. But when you are developing some software, you should think about all these things. In future, we may integrate to a third party software, or we may integrate with other software which is going to be from in-house. So in those cases, how are we going to make our software feasible for those options today only? We need to think about that. So that is where the architectural diagram is going to give us the clear picture, how the overall picture looks like. And it is also going to talk about how the high level communication is going to happen between the modules, and how different modules are going to operate. All those things at a very high level, the high level design is going to explain. And now the next is the low level design. As I mentioned, it is all going to talk about the smaller pieces. It's the module level information is going to be discussed as part of the low level design. So here we will be able to understand about, okay, this particular user creation module, what is actually going to do, how that pages look like in the user creation, and what are the communications going to happen from this page, where and all you can move. All those things at a modular level we will be discussing the low level design. The next thing is based on the design. So design phase is done. We achieved the milestone of design. Now we are moving to the development. So in development, I just want to talk about two things. One is coding and another one is development. Selvi, both are same. No, it's not the same stuff. So coding means you are writing the code. Yes, you have a design. Based on the design, you are preparing the through the programming language, any programming language. It may be Java, Python, whatever the programming language, you are using the programming language and writing the code. That's not the closure of the development. When you are developing the code, first thing, as a developer, you will be writing something called as unit test cases. Unit test cases are nothing but the test cases that are going to be the test cases at white box level. What is white box level? What is black box? So these are the testing terminologies. So when you say white box, you know the code, what you have written, and you are going to, it is clearly visible for you what you have written, and you are going to test that code with the help of some test cases, which is called as unit test cases. And you are going to use some tools which are inbuilt with your IDE. IDE is integrated development environment. So in any of the IDEs like Eclipse, uh, Visual Studio, any of these environments, you are going to use these tools, inbuilt tools, to perform the unit testing. So IDE is your development environment, and in that you can actually plug in any of these unit testing related tools, and they will be performing the unit testing. So you can create some unit test cases, and this is the first level of testing you are doing. Selvi, I have a question. Testing is generally performed by testers, right? Oh, wow, that's true. Testing is performed by testers. But when you are writing the code, you are ensuring at the code level whether whatever the use cases that you wanted to deliver with the code, are you able to achieve or not? That is something you are checking. And you have written the test cases. So all good. Can we complete the development? No, it's not done. Because I'm writing the code, I'm testing. Maybe I may not be able to find issues because it's all my code, right? At the end of the day, I have developed something. I may not be able to find something here. So now, actually, I'm going to ask my uh, colleague to test it. So when I say testing, the person is not going to test as such like how I have created with the help of test cases. The person is going to review my code. That is called as peer review. So while actually reviewing the code, the person may say, Selvi, like you missed some kind of use case here. This is going to be a problem. Then I'm going to make that corrections. Right? So this is a peer review process. So I have written my code. I have done my testing with the help of the unit test cases. And third one, I have also requested for peer review. And after this, if I may need to update some documents for certain functionalities, I will be doing that. With all these things, development will come to a done state. Now, the developed code is ready for testing. So now, testers perform this testing. What they are going to do? They will check the software quality of the software against the requirements. So for every requirement, they would have written good number of test cases, and every test case is going to have expected result, and based on what is happening, they will be filling the actual result. If expected and actual is having a mismatch, that means it is not up to the mark. There is somewhere a gap. That means we have some bugs that we need to fix. So this is called as black box testing. Black box testing is a functional testing where you will not see code. You can just see a black box, but you know what that black box is going to do. Sorry, what that black box is going to do. So they will be using use cases. They will be having a test plan, test scenarios, test cases. Everything has been already written, and those all things will be used here to do the testing, functional level testing. Sometimes they will do non-functional testing also, which means performance testing, stress testing. Those are non-functional. Functional means based on the requirement. What are the requirements we have? They have written the test cases, they are going to check. For example, if you give username, password, clicking on submit, it should, if it is a correct username and password, it should go to the home page. That is what the requirement is. If it is not doing that and it is throwing some different error, then it is misbehavior of the system. That means it is a bug. So this is taken care. So this will go on for some time. And after this testing phase is done, then there is something called as deployment. What is meant by deployment? So testers actually treat them as end users. Okay, so testers actually treat them as customers or end users, and they perform the testing. Because after this will be shipped to the customer. So once the testing is done and we are reaching that milestone of the testing closure, we will be taking the product to our customer or the end users. There we will be deploying this product so that they can use it. All right. So the deployment of the product is a software that will be deployed in the either in the cloud or maybe on premises. Based on that, I'm not going to get into those details, but we have different opportunities to deploy. So based on that, the software gets deployed and the end users are going to use that. If you people need what exactly on premises and cloud deployment, we can quickly touch upon in the next video. Please comment if you want to know about that. I feel that's more of the deployment of the software itself. All right. That last one is the maintenance, which is an optional phase. See, every company who is developing the software, they may not be the person who is going to maintain the software. For example, ABC company creates the software and delivers to the customer, and their agreement is done, and they may be initiating a new agreement to the company which is XYZ, and they will be asking them, hey, like going forward you are going to maintain. So the knowledge transfer from ABC company to XYZ company, all those things will be taken care as part of the agreement. In some situations, the organization, the customer may be asking the same organization to even monitor and maintain the product as well. So that case is what will happen. Any kind of bugs or any updates that need to be provided, that the same company, ABC company, will be giving to the customer. And sometimes customer may also come up with some kind of request, hey, I need this functionality, can you please implement? So that they will be implementing those features as well. All right. So these are the software development lifecycle phases. Okay, Selvi, why we need to know all these things? Now comes the picture. What is a methodology? We are going to learn that. Many of you uh, heard the statement, Agile is a methodology. Anytime we thought about what is a methodology, why are we saying Agile is a methodology, and from where it is coming, that is coming from the software development lifecycle phases. So now you know, to make a software, you need to start from the planning phase, and you are getting into either the deployment or maintenance phase, but you have good number of phases in between. You cannot skip any of these phases. You need to follow all these things. Then only you can start from the planning till the deployment. Okay. So now, to have all these phases going comfortably, how about you follow a structured approach, which is going to benefit you and make also things much smoother, so that whenever you are developing a software, you just follow that approach, right? Then it will be very easy. Like for example, uh, you are driving, okay? You need to start from a place A to place B, and you are driving. You are just driving on your own, like you don't know like anything about the speed limit, you don't know this traffic signal, there is no such process. Okay, what will happen? Your journey may not be smooth, because in certain places you can drive fast because that may not be a traffic prone areas, where in some places you may need to uh, slow down because there may be schools, there may be hospitals. You just need to go with certain pace, and there are traffic signals which is going to regulate the traffic, so that you need to stop, and based on the signals you need to cross. If there is a structured way like this, your journey is going to be smooth, right? You are not going to uh, drive fast or drive slow. You are going to maintain a pace, and also like you can very well understand how your journey is going to be. You can plan very well. If there is no process, if there is no structure, there is no approach at all, you can go on your own way, then it is always going to be a trouble, because someone also may be coming in the wrong way and they may hit you, right? So this is actually the advantage of having a structured approach. Whenever you have certain things to pass, whenever you have certain phases to cross, from to start from A to start B, that is your planning phase to deployment phase, you are going to cross different things. If you have a structured approach, you know when to stop, when to go slow, when to go fast, and what are the things you can do. All those things will be in a structured way, right? So now that is what is provided by your methodology. Now, what is a methodology? Software development methodologies provide structured approaches for creating high quality software. They guide teams through the development process from planning to maintenance. Understanding these methodologies is crucial for effective project management and successful software delivery. This is what we discussed. So if we have this approach, the same, just imagine you want to start from source A to destination B. Now, the very important point is if you have a structured approach, you can very well relax and drive. If you don't have anything like that, anyone can come from any direction. You don't know when to go fast, when to slow down. It's very hard. So, same way in the software development, we have different phases. What should go first? What should go next? And when we need to do what so that we will get the maximum benefit. I really don't want my team to invest on these kind of activities. Rather, they just follow the methodology so that their life is going to be smooth, right? So that is what is all about methodology. Now you know why Agile is a methodology. You are able to correlate now, I think, yes, because Agile is a methodology. So you now know there are different phases of software development lifecycle. So using the Agile methodology, we are making the software. There are different methodologies. We are going to discuss few of the methodologies today. But now you know why I started from software development lifecycle and then got into the phases and then methodology, then getting into the next steps. I think hopefully you can connect the dots now. Now we are going to talk about something called as waterfall methodology. Oh, Selvi, like we can directly study Agile methodology, right? Why waterfall methodology? Very good question. When you go through waterfall methodology, you will know why Agile came into picture. Without knowing, we should know like why certain things are happening. They may be happening because there were some drawbacks in the method that we were using earlier. So we wanted to come up with something new. That is what happened here as well. So it is very important to understand what is waterfall. What is waterfall methodology? Before getting into this information, how about seeing something visually? You have a waterfall. What is actually you can think of waterfall? Top to bottom, things flow. There is nothing called as moving from bottom to up in waterfall. And when you cross this place, when you are coming down, you cannot go back here because there is no revisiting. You always come from top to bottom and there is no bottom to top. And also, once you complete a phase, you cannot go back to that phase because there is uh, uh, no other direction that you can move on. Same way, let's come to this side, which is starting from planning. It is all you can see that every phase is coming in a linear approach, linear and sequential way. Planning, completed. Requirements, then completed. Design, then completed. After design, move to development, complete the development. After completion of the development, move to testing. So it's a very, very, very structured and linear sequential way of handling things. Now let's go back to the details. A linear and sequential development approach, yes, we were able to see in the flowchart, where each phase depends on the completion of the previous one. Yes, exactly. So we need to complete the previous stage, then only we can move to the next stage. Once a phase is finished, it cannot be revisited. Like the waterfall, you cannot go back. So what are the steps involved here? First is requirements gathering. So all the requirements are gathered upfront. Frozen. Requirements are frozen, done, and sealed. Next is design. Based on the requirements, we are preparing the system design, then the modular design. Next is, once the design is done, we will get into the actual coding and complete all the development practices and complete the development stage. Once the development is done, we will move to the testing. The product gets tested and we will check on any kind of issues or something. If all goes well, we will be taking this product as a release candidate and deploy it to the customer side. And if there is a need for maintenance by the same company, we will maintain it. So you can see every phase is dependent on the closure of the previous step. This is very important. The advantages, very well, the best advantages, best for projects with fixed requirements. Please remember this point. When you have a project which is going to create a software and the requirements are frozen, you are not going to see any kind of changes in the requirement. Please use waterfall. Waterfall is the best methodology which is going to serve for the projects or the software creation where you are not going to see any kind of changes coming in your requirement. The fixed requirement concept, please go with this waterfall. And it also provides clear structure, as you can see, and also the documentation, because every phase, as I mentioned about, that's why I talked about exit and entry criteria, right? So you will be having the documentation piece. Those are the advantages. Of course, there are some disadvantages. It's very rigid because you cannot make any changes once the phase is complete. Oh no, that's not good, Selvi. Yes, that's not good. That's why we came up with some new other methodologies. I'm going to give a quick example on this so that you can remember this concept. Imagine that you are visiting a grocery store. You purchased a product. You would have seen a billing software, right, where people use for billing in the grocery store. What exactly it does? When the customer, who is the grocery store owner, he approached to create a software. He initially told, uh, Selvi, we want to create a software for the billing purpose, and he told all the requirements, everything we developed, and we handed over the product software. Okay. Before handing over, yeah, there was an incident that happened. When we were in testing phase, we developed all the requirements, whatever he mentioned. Okay, nothing is pending. We are all good. Testing is going on, and suddenly he called me one day and said, Selvi, like I want change. I want to make a small change. I said, like, yeah, please go on. What is the change you are looking for? Like when we discussed about the requirements, I mentioned something called as barcode scan. For every product, we generally use the barcode scanner, scan the product, and based on the scanned details, actually the billing list gets updated. That's what we follow. But these days many products are coming with QR code scan and they don't have this barcode. And this is going to increase the manual effort by entering the details of the product. So we have invested with QR code scanners as well now. And for the products which are supporting the QR code, we are going to use that. Okay. So now ultimately that should also be integrated with our software, because when I actually not only scan the barcodes with the help of barcode scanner, even if I'm using the QR code scanner, the details of the product should be listed in the billing details. This was not discussed earlier. This is a new thing for me. I'm like, okay, uh, but we are in testing phase. Now we need to go back to the architectural diagram. So we need to think about how we are going to introduce this, then change the design, then make the development, then get into testing. You see the effort that's getting invested, because we are not getting feedback early. We are not even showing customer the product. I'm in the testing phase, but my customer haven't seen at all the product at all, right? So that is also a major drawback, because he or she doesn't have any opportunity to provide me any feedback. Until and unless you don't see, you cannot provide any feedback, right? And the testing is almost happening at the end. We never tested at the beginning. So even if some issues are coming, any bugs are identified, that is also going to invest too much of time, because I need to go back, then again fix it and go through all the phases and then again get into the testing. It's not easy. So these are the disadvantages. When you are trying to make a change in your requirement, this is going to be very tough. And testing is going to happen at the very end, which is also not a good sign, because we may not find any issues or the bugs at the beginning. More and more you delay the bug identification phase, you need to spend too much of money, because it is going to take too much of time, right? Of course, time is money. So it's all about that. And finally, you are not getting any feedback. So far, no feedback. So it's also again a problem. So this is what waterfall is all about. So waterfall, it's a linear sequential development approach. Very good for the projects which are having fixed requirements, because the requirements are fixed. Customer is not going to look for anything new, and customer is not going to add anything. So user feedback is not a mandatory stuff here. You develop everything according to whatever he or she said as a customer. You deliver it. That's it. That's it. Very simple. But when it comes to changes in the requirement, waterfall is not a best option. Now you can quickly recollect or connect the dots with Agile. I'll talk about that when we get into Agile. Okay, let's get into the next methodology, incremental methodology. Wow, that's the second new methodology we are learning. As the name suggests, there is an overall software we need to build. We are not going to build the whole software. What are we going to do? We are going to make different pieces of that software, which we are going to develop as single project. This is going to act as a small software. This is going to act as a small software. This is going to act as a small software. Like building those kind of increments, we are going to build the overall software. How this is going to happen? Can you give some example? That's what you people are looking for. I'm going to show that. Imagine a house with 3 floors. Imagine you are constructing all the 3 floors. How much time it is going to take? It's going to take too much of time. Imagine a situation like this. You are just focusing on the ground floor. You are making all the things so that the person can come and stay. There is no issue at all. That means you are first building the increment. How are you selecting this increment? You cannot construct second or third floor because the person cannot move without the ground floor settling up. It's very hard. So, which increment should go first and what should be in that increment? You will check with your customer, right? Because you have 3 floors. Now you are going to start with the ground floor and you already got aligned with your customer. Your customer is okay. Yes, fine. I don't want first floor to be completed because that also needs a skeleton at the ground floor. So I just want the ground floor to be available first. All good. So now, what are you trying to do here? Instead of waiting for 1 year, you have made the ground floor available in 3 months. So you are actually going to market early. So your customer is happy with that. Next, after building this first ground floor, then you will move to the first floor. Then you will go to the second floor till the time your entire product is available, till the entire software is available. You will be keep doing this increment, building on top of something, building on top of something, building on top of something. But every increment is going to follow all the steps. It's going to follow the design, development, testing, deployment. As you can see in the right side, you have customer requirements. You are able to see it's a huge list, so you don't want to make that huge list as a single software and drive it for months or years. So what are you trying to do? You have made 3 different increments. So this increment, which is going to be the first increment, you are checking with your customer. So once that is available, you are going to perform all the normal steps you are designing, because this itself is a small software for you, right? So this software development is going to have all the life cycle phases what we discussed. So it is going to start with design, then you will be going with development, then testing, then deployment. So your customer got something. Now you pick up the second one, second increment. You do the same phases, deliver it. Third one, deliver it. So this is how you are going to do. So now we will be talking about what are the things that you do as part of incremental. An approach where the software is developed and delivered in small, manageable increments, each providing a working product that can be used or tested. Able to correlate? Small increments. Everything is a working product. It's not some dummy item that we are delivering. It's a working. It's the ground floor that a person can stay. How it works? Divide the project into increments. Develop each increment as a mini project that adds more feature. Exactly. Each increment is fully functional. What is the advantage? You are delivering fast. Yes. Easy to manage risk and respond to feedback. So whatever the feedback is coming related to ground floor, you are only targeting the ground floor. You are not targeting the first floor and second floor. So it is easy for you to quickly respond. Number one. And when you are trying to cluster this, it's also going to benefit in a way you can manage risk in a easier way than in the whole view. What is the disadvantage? It requires careful planning to ensure all increments integrate well. Wow, that's not the easiest job. You are working on some increment, ground floor. You need to ensure where the staircase should be so that you can go to the first floor. You need to plan well. It's really a very good level of planning is required. Otherwise the integration between the increments is going to have a tough time. You may fail at the integration level. Let's take a very simple example again with the grocery store. Yeah. So the software that that your customer at the grocery store is looking is going to have different things. Uh, Billing, then based on the billing, it should reduce the item in the stock. And once actually it is reducing in the stock, and when it is reaching a threshold, it should send a notification. And your billing also should connect to something which is called as the reward points. And also, if you are a privileged customer, then it is going to provide you some kind of point system. And based on that, some kind of discounts you are going to get, all these things. So you can understand now it's having too many things, right? Uh, you want to develop everything at one shot, it's going to take a year maybe. So you are coming up with an incremental approach. What are you trying to do now? The first thing is just to focus on the billing. When someone is coming with a product, just scan it, enter the details in the billing list, and once you are entering and the price is placed for that particular product and the person is purchasing that, automatically it should reduce one item from the stock. That is the first level of product. That is the first level of software you are delivering, so that you actually added a value to your customer. There is one value that got added, so that now there is no manual process, at least in the billing. Next thing you are going to add, once the stock level is reaching a certain value like 5 or 6, then it should automatically notify the customer head saying that, hey, no, the stock is very less, please refill it, so that you know when to refill. This is the second increment. The third increment, when you are filling the details of the customer, it's going to talk to a reward system. That reward system is going to showcase the details like, okay, this person is often purchasing in our shop. Why can't we actually give some discounts? So you are actually making that offer to the person. Hey, no, you are going to get 10% discount in the overall bill. This is the third increment. But are you able to see? The first increment actually had the billing details, but till the last third one, it is actually making the communication. That means integration is required. Even though it looks like each and every incremental work item or incremental working product, but all the increments are going to talk to one another in a way, which means you need to build that kind of integration opportunity. That is actually the challenge what we have in this. But as you see that you can easily respond to your customer and respond to the feedback from the customer when you are working in a smaller piece, and you can also deliver it much faster. These all are the advantages, but integration is going to be a little challenging stuff because you cannot predict everything in the early stage. So you got know what is an incremental thing. This is also somewhere related to Agile. We'll talk about that now. The next methodology is iterative methodology. Wow, Selvi, it's too many things, right? No, let's make it very simple. We talked about incremental, where the whole software is broken down as smaller increments as a small software, so that we can deliver it quickly and also manage only that piece. Here, we are not going to break anything. We are going to focus on revisiting, refining the product multiple iterations, so that it is going to get into a better shape based on the feedback and evaluation. Wow. Let's go with the example so that you can easily correlate. Wow, that's my favorite guitar. All right. So, uh, if you are composing a song, if you are making some special music, what you will do, you will first play, and you get with some kind of clarity. You prepare it, you actually prepare the song. Will you give it like that? No. As you would have observed, this is just the first version. Then you will be thinking, oh, how can I add some extra notes here? How can I actually make this particular place much better? So version 1 got into version 2, then version 2 to version 3. So what are you trying to do? Every version you are revisiting, you are refining the details and make that piece a better product, right? initially the song that is version 1, but you are not going to deliver like that. You are keep on asking, you are playing, you are hearing, you are making some change, you are calling your friend, you are making your friend to listen to the music, and you are getting the feedback from your friend, you are improving on that. So this is going to happen till you feel things are in a better shape. And also when your friend is coming, she is actually asking, hey, like, why can't you add this kind of music here? Wow, that's a fantastic idea. So you are not only improving what you have developed, in addition you are also adding something more, right? Same is happening with iterative. You have plan, design, development, testing. You are doing all the phases, okay, of the software development life cycle. You are preparing the software, that is your version 1. What are you doing here? You are reviewing that. You are asking your customer to review that, and your customer is giving some feedback. Now that will make your second iterations plan, and adding some more requirements to that, and from the feedback you are going to add something more, something more, something more, version 2, version 3. Let's try to understand here. The iterative model focuses on revisiting and refining the product through multiple iterations. Version 1, version 2, version 3, we keep on revisiting and refining, improving each version based on feedback and evaluation. So you are going to get the feedback and you are going to make it much better. How it works? Start with the basic version of the product, of course, the first song. Repeat the development cycle, refining it after every iteration. So every iteration you are going to repeat the development cycle so that you are going to make much things better. Each iteration adds improvements based on user feedback or new requirements. As I said, your friend may say something new to add as part of the song, or you yourself can add something which is based on the feedback from your customer. So all these things taken care as part of the iterative model. What are the advantages? You are accommodating changes because your friend is saying after third version of the song, she is giving some kind of new requirements. Still, you are able to adapt to those changes. Continual feedback and improvement. Yes, you are constantly in touch with your customer, so it's going to get a lot of additional feedback. But this is going to be sometimes too much dependent on the user input because you are always waiting for customers input uh, for refining the process. So too much of dependency over here, that is a challenging stuff. Difficult to manage if iterations are not well planned. So if you have not really planned well, when to start, when to complete the iteration, and also like where to get the feedback and when to stop that cycle. These all things, if it is not clear, then that is also going to take too much of time and it is going to be a difficult process. So this is all about iterative. So now I'm going to talk something like how to compare this iterative and incremental. I'm going to give one example so that we will talk about both how it works in the increment, how it is going to work in the iterative. Let's consider we are going to create a website. Okay, the website is going to have different features. The website is all about purchasing e-commerce, basically like a website where I'm going to have some online shopping. Okay, so it's a very big software, very big software. So in incremental, what are we planning is like the first uh, customer is saying, hey, I just want people to come to my website and select some products. That's my first goal. That's a priority thing for me. So you have just separated out as an increment. So you are populating, you basically have the user credential allowed for the user to log in. And after that, the person can search and find the product what they are looking for. And once they are done with the selection, they just need to call a number and they should say like, hey, this is what I have selected, and how can I make the payment. All those things you are discussing over the phone because your module is just supporting user login plus selection of the product. Next increment, you are introducing addition to the cart. There is a cart option and also the payment option. This is the second increment. The third increment is you are able to give the feedback to the product, and you are also able to get some reward points whenever you are purchasing. That reward points can be later used as part of the purchase. So these are some of the different ways, like how increment 1, increment 2, increment 3, you kind of like holded certain things in increment 1, holded certain things in increment 2, holded certain things in increment 3 based on the priority from the customer. But the whole software you have broken down very nicely and you are building as a incremental software piece. Same website. Let's try to understand if someone is actually using the iterative methodology, how are they going to develop it? See, all these methodologies, you know that what is a software and what are the different phases in the software lifecycle, development lifecycle. So now we are using different methodologies to build a software. So these methodologies are going to help us to give a structured approach to follow those phases and build a software so that from planning phase, we are going to get into the deployment phase comfortably, right? So we saw how we can prepare the or how we can create a website using the incremental approach. Now we are going to talk about something which is related to the iterative approach. Wow. So same website. First, what are you going to do? You are going to have the basic version of the entire website and you are going to talk to the customer. Then the customer is saying, hey, like you have added everything, but like I want a credit card as well to be added and also cash on delivery. Oh, then you are adding that, which is revisiting and refining. Then when you are going back, the customer is saying, hey, in the rewards page, I just want for every $1 that is made as a or $10 that is actually made as a spending, I should be getting $1, and that cannot be used till certain point. So you should be actually giving this information there in the page. That is not there. Okay, I'll add that. It's refining after revisiting. So we are making a much better version from basic version. That is incremental. So finally, we are creating the website in both the cases. Even if you follow incremental or iterative, you are going to have the end product, that is your software, available. But there are different advantages. When you are using incremental, you can go much faster to the market. Whereas iterative, you are spending good amount of time in refining things. So when to select what is purely depends on your customer, your product, your nature of work, everything. That is going to decide what sort of methodology you will select. All right. So we learned about all these methodologies. Waterfall, when to use waterfall. When you have the requirements which are very fixed, you are not expecting any changes in the requirement, please use waterfall. It's going to be so wonderful. If you feel that it's a very big software, you can still increment wise, you can separate it out and you can use it and you can take it to the market much faster, go with incremental. And if you are looking for too much of customer feedback and you are not so clear about the product, so customer feedback is very crucial and you just want to take to the customer and then get into the actual decision whether to take to the deployment for the customer, then please go with iterate. Okay, then we will learn Agile Selvi. That's what we are getting next. Agile. So people who already know the definition of Agile, you can very well correlate. Agile is the combination of iterative and incremental. Wow, is that? Yes. Agile is an iterative and incremental approach that emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, customer feedback, and continuous improvement. It values adaptive planning and encourages teams to respond to change rather than strictly following a predetermined plan. So we don't have fixed requirements concept. So we cannot use waterfall. And at the same time, we are a little bit concerned about incrementally developing, but how are we going to ensure that the integration pieces are working well? And when we say that iterative, how are we going to ensure that we are not having too much of dependency or too much of feedback cycles? How to regulate that? And when we say incremental, what is the increment period? All these things are addressed in Agile, right? So it's a combination of iterative and incremental approach that emphasizes collaboration, flexibility, customer feedback, continuous improvement. Everything is available here. So in Agile, we use something short. That is what the time box iterations as sprints. That is going to deliver a product increment at the end. That can last for 1 week to 4 weeks. At the end of each iteration, you are having a potentially shippable product increment, allowing for frequent feedback and adjustments. The next is customer involvement is a core principle of Agile. Stakeholders are engaged throughout the development process, providing feedback at the end of each iteration to guide subsequent work. That's the sprint review. So we are using incremental model in a way that we have different increments, and at the end of every increment we are going to have a product increment delivered, but we are going to have a time boxed period that is called a sprint. We are also going to have the continuous feedback loop, but we are going to use the sprint review as the major mechanism to collect the feedback from our customers. The next thing is Agile embraces change and is designed to accommodate evolving requirements, change in the requirement. Teams are expected to adjust their plans based on customer feedback and changing business needs at any time, at any point during the development process. Here, we are welcoming the requirement change. We are welcoming the changes. That's the whole idea here. Agile methodologies prioritize working software over comprehensive documentation. That doesn't mean that we can skip the entire documentation. So we always encourage the lightweight documentation. So incremental, iterative, all the combinations we are using here, which is for Agile. So we saw certain feedbacks when we use incremental methodology. We saw certain disadvantages when we were using iterative. But this actually has a blend of both. And when we say increment, we are actually fixing the time boxed events, which are the sprints, and deliver at every incremental level a product. That is a product increment. At the same time, the customer feedback loop is also running on with the help of sprint review at the end of every sprint. So these all are certain things we are using as part of Agile, right? So now you can completely understand why we call Agile as a methodology and what is methodology, and then you should be able to backtrace and go back to the different phases that we have discussed as part of the software development lifecycle. Now you would have understood the foundation unit of learning what is Agile as a methodology. These all things are very, very important because without this learning just Agile as a methodology may not make the real impact. That's the reason I started from software, got into the phases, then what is a methodology, what are the different methodologies, and especially the methodologies that are mostly related to Agile, I have discussed here. There are different other methodologies like V model, spiral, rapid application development. There are much more. But we are not discussing everything. That's not the core agenda here. But we really want to understand certain methodologies. That's the reason I have picked a few from the overall list. I think hopefully this helped all of you to understand Agile as a methodology. Next episode, we are going to start directly from Agile and Scrum. Agile as a methodology, Scrum as a framework. So what that framework is going to give us and what that approach is going to provide, going to give some benefits which will make our software development life cycle a smoother one, right? So we will see basically what is the framework, what is the difference between a methodology and a framework, and all those things we will be discussing in the next episode, which is also going to be an exciting one. Hopefully you people enjoyed this episode and got some good level of learning. That's the whole purpose. And if you are willing to connect uh, uh, to discuss career guidance options or some level of mentoring or one-on-one, please use the top meta code. And if you are liking this content and you want to support the content, you can buy me a coffee using this link. And yes, thank you so much for listening. And hopefully you enjoyed this content. You learned what is a methodology, what is a software, especially for the people who are new to software. I'm expecting this episode uh, really helped in a different way. Please share your comments, what exactly your feedback all about this episode. And if you are liking the content and want to share this content with your friends, please do share and subscribe to the channel so that you will stay connected and you will not miss anything with the help of notifications. Please press that notifications as well so that you will not miss any content. And please share your feedback. That is one request I have because I just want to understand whether you are able to follow the flow. and also whether it is beneficial or not beneficial. If you have any questions, please share it in the comments. If you are liking the content, please press that like button. If you are not liking the content, please press the dislike button, so that I can understand like what exactly the thing is. And also please share your feedback in the comment section. That will be really helpful, and also which will be a motivating stuff for me to add more content in the channel. So thank you so much, friends. So we will meet in the next episode. Uh, Stay connected. Happy learning. Thank you so much.